Hey folks, welcome to episode 14 of ChickenMan on the Run. Today I spoke with Bob Kelly in Denver, Colorado. He works in the petroleum industry, and we discussed that, and we discussed George Floyd, and I think he has a pretty great take on it. Bob's a old friend of mine, and we had a really enjoyable conversation. I hope you listen to the whole thing. All right, thanks. All right, we're here in Denver, Colorado. Episode 14, ChickenMan on the Run. I'm sitting with my friend Bob Kelly. We've known each other for about 20 years, and Bob is in the
oil and gas industry.
So first explain a little bit what you do, oil gas industry.
Oil wells, gas wells, they require casing and tubing when you drill them. Casing separates the well bore from the natural formation rock reservoir. It's just kind of a safety barrier and isolates what you want to produce the well out of. So you run casing and then you run tubing to produce it through.
Okay.
My company provides that to various oil companies around the country. And we also do line pipe for pipelines and drill pipe, whatever kind of pipe you need. We tend to do it for oil and gas.
Okay. Yeah. You sell pipe. How have you seen the coronavirus pandemic affect you guys, your industry?
Business-wise, it's kind of a double whammy. We already had an interesting international situation with the price of oil and the production levels being so much higher in the U.S. than they had been in a while, creating some glut. And the Russians and Saudis started to fight about market share and
so there was already oil price issues?
Yeah, there was already some major issues.
What was the issue?
Just stabilizing the price of oil.
Okay.
And have it be at a price per barrel that it was economical to continue to develop and explore for more.
Okay.
And I think there was a long-term goal of having a lot more independence for the U.S. And I think a lot of greed developed within the U.S. too. There's a lot of opportunity to make a lot of money, and people went after it, basically shooting yourselves in the foot.
Because they needed the price of a barrel to maintain a certain level?
Say again?
They needed the price of a barrel to maintain a certain level to keep making money, or?
Well, maintaining a particular level is great. Just having some stability would be. I mean, if the price is low, but you have confidence it's going to stay there, we can kind of figure out how to operate at that price too, to a point. I mean, it can get so low that it just doesn't make any sense. But most oil companies, I'm on the supply side of materials, so I don't have to look at some of the economics they do. But they have a price that they absolutely have to operate, and then they have a price that they really want to have to increase the margin, what they can make on their investment. There's a lot of expense going into drilling a well, and it doesn't happen like it used to. There's a lot more success, but there's still dry wells that you get no return on the investment for. So like anybody in a business, they try to balance that somewhere.
Right.
But their goal is to make profit, know.
So how has the coronavirus affected all that?
Well, it's greatly reduced the consumption of oil around the world.
Right.
In the time that we already had a bit of a glut, all the storage facilities are full. There's no place to stick oil. There's boats out on the water that are full that have nobody to unload it to. So you take that situation as it exists already, and then the COVID have industry around the world virtually shut down, where the consumption
so people just aren't using the oil.
So supply is way over the demand.
What are they doing with that oil, that extra oil? Are they shutting?
Yeah, well, they've reduced their production. Here and there. Some cases adequately, in some cases not so adequately.
I read something about shutting down a well is more expensive than drilling a well.
There's truth in that, but that's so much of what anybody says, either side of the oil, whether you're pro oil, against oil, everything else. Everybody puts spin on everything.
Okay.
There's a lot involved with shutting in a well. There's potential to take a well that costs millions of dollars to drill and you have a window that you want to get as much back out of the well as you can to pay for it, and also provide profits for the next well that you want to drill, that type of thing. This is very oversimplified.
Okay.
But when you have a situation like that and you shut in a well, there's a chance that it's going to cost you, all of a sudden the well that was doing 800 barrels a day is trickling back at 50 or something, or 200 or whatever. So you have to spend money on it to get it back, and in some cases not get it back.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of things that happen in 3 miles away from you, because that's how far some of
3
these
miles
wells.
down?
Yeah, you can be 10,000 feet deep and another 20 or 30 on a horizontal.
Oh, really?
You can be 30,000 feet away from where you're producing the well.
Oh, wow.
Or where the reservoir that's producing. So,
Okay.
Everything, it's incredible, the technology that's come out of the oil and gas industry.
How's that?
Just, my dad was an oil man, so, and that goes way back.
Well, and your dad did a chemical?
Well, his first job in the oil field was building wooden derricks.
Oh.
You can think about There Will Be Blood, where you have those. Yeah. He's not that old, but he was back in that direction. In the 30s, he was still building wooden derricks.
Oh, wow!
And he was a young man in the 30s, and then went on to World War II and stuff. So, but yeah, he got his start in the oil field doing that. So I have a background, at least, of oil culture that's put food on the table. Mm-hmm. For a lot of years, and I've waffled in and out of different industries. Mm-hmm. I've always come back to oil and gas, the quality of the people in the oil and gas. Every industry has its knotheads. Right. But there's some great folks, very adventurous. There's you talk about old wildcatting and stuff. That doesn't happen nearly as much. A lot of the wells are a lot better defined.
What's wildcatting?
It's almost like flipping a coin, see if there's oil there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but there's a lot of science now.
Okay.
There's still some major discoveries that are kind of stumbled into.
Okay.
But it's still not a sure thing, but it's a sure thing every day, because technology changes. Periodically you'll think a particular reservoir has every drop of oil you're ever going to get out of it, and then technology makes a spin, and you realize, man, we can get 10 million more barrels out, and all we'd ever gotten out was 5 to begin with. Okay. So technology keeps changing. Yeah. So opportunity keeps changing.
Yeah. How has the coronavirus affected you personally?
Personally, I've gotten a lot done around the house. My yard's in better shape than it's been at this time of year, probably ever.
That's good.
A lot of projects. Very, very fortunate that the guys I work for and with have been in the business a long time. They know it's going to... We've always been cyclical. You know, up and down, up and down. Every time you plan for the next down, you didn't plan well enough. Right. And this is going to be one of those again.
Well, so that... how are you going to change things moving forward? Are you going to do things differently for yourself or for
personally? It's just trying to stock even more money off someplace so that you don't have to eat rice and beans for an extended period to get back. I mean, it's that dynamic. You know, I mean, certainly there's people in the industry that have a lot more money than I do and don't sweat it as much, but they also have probably a lot more responsibility for other people than I do too. Yeah. I'm kind of a one-man entity in that the company I work for is just, here's your green light, go get them. I'm very fortunate to have a salary plus a commission that I do, so I have more than a living wage that I can get by on in the salary, and when things are good, I have an opportunity to kind of put some money aside for when maybe they slip sideways, or for some reason the company I'm with doesn't need me or whatever anymore. I have time to figure it out. So.
Any health stuff that you were concerned about?
We've been really fortunate so far. The COVID has not come close to anyone I know very well personally, directly. So really blessed that way. I think we are still figuring out what it's going to do. I'm over 60, so I'm in the dead zone. Kind of. I laugh a little, but yeah, I think that certainly I think I'm pretty healthy. But same token, I've heard some people dying that I knew were healthier than I was. So
interesting.
it keeps you mindful. My wife and I have been cautious. I don't think we've been hyper cautious, but we've stayed home mostly. Okay. Particularly in the early part when some of the discovery, and there's still a lot of discovery taking place, but when the early stuff was going on, so we just figured out how to sequester ourselves and, nod and speak to the neighbors from a distance and that type of thing, and see what we can do to help each other out if one of us was going to the store, to figure out
gotcha.
What we can do to provide for each other. The community has grown. My wife and I in Denver, there's a Highline Canal that's kind of a long-reaching exercise trail that goes through from one end to the other of the city. So I've noticed a lot more friendly nods and gestures than before the COVID. I'm from Texas. I say hi to everybody. And of course,
that's a fact.
Some little girl running by herself and just the two of us, and I say hi, she's not going to respond, and I understand that.
She's going to look away.
Yeah, she's going to know I
run faster.
Yeah, it wouldn't take much for her to outrun me anyway. Not that would be any need for that. Yeah. But I do notice an awful lot of people
being friendly,
a lot more nod, a lot more gesture, probably just as happy to see another face.
Yeah.
Early on, I had a mask on the whole time. Now I have it around my neck, and as I come to somebody, I'll pull it up.
Yeah.
Generally get a similar response, but whether they do or not, we're not on top of each other. I'm not, we're outdoors, and I feel pretty comfortable about being outdoors.
Well, that's something I've noticed being in Colorado just since yesterday or whatever, that they were not strict about masks. And a lot of the places
it's kind of a mixed bag, really. I mean, in general, the state's done pretty well. I think the governor set some things in line, and then the mayor of Denver did as well, that initially were thought, we're kind of out in front there a little bit, even being over the top perhaps. But I think that's prudent. We don't really, it wasn't obvious what this thing was going to do. It still isn't, for that matter, but at least right now, today's date, we're ahead of a lot of other states on separation and stuff. But I'm always a little dismayed. My wife and I, when things were pretty tight, and we were, how long is what we have to last us? And maybe we need to go buy a bag of rice or something, because really just not having a clue. And Walmart I'm old enough I could get in at like 7 a.m. or something and just run into a whole bunch of other old people.
Beat the rush.
Beat the rush. And that was fine. That was good. Everyone's pretty mindful, and they already had the arrows which way you go. And a month or so later, still in the midst of this, but some relaxation, but still some uncertainty.
Debbie was telling me, she's like, I won't go to the Walmart in Aurora.
Yeah.
She's like, they have no rules there.
Yeah, well, if they have rules, they're not forcing them to follow.
She's like, everybody's walking around without masks, willy-nilly.
We went in there more in the afternoon on a Saturday. Of course it's going to be packed.
Yeah.
What were we thinking? But, people are like, the arrows on the aisles, that didn't mean anything. People reaching over the top of you to grab a can of something. This woman came up behind us checking out, and they had that 6-foot space. No, she was on top.
Right on you.
And she was coming past me to look at the gum or the candy and stuff like that. And and my wife and I both just kind of like, get us out of here. This doesn't feel really good.
It's crazy how accustomed we came to the mask and the 6 feet thing. Yeah. And now it is like, somebody gets too close, I kind of want to like shoulder them. And, you need to back off, man. Don't breathe on me.
Well, Americans, I've been in Europe and stuff a little bit. You get on an elevator here, you get neutral corners. You get on an elevator in Europe, the guy is
right on your shoulders, and there's nobody else in the elevator.
Yeah. And that freaks you out a little bit at first because of our weirdness here.
Yeah. Well, we're so used to space.
Yeah.
So what do you think the future will look like?
I think there's going to be a crazy new norm.
Yeah.
What that is unknown.
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity for some change. And hopefully less reactive, a little more proactive about some things. I think I hope that some real good comes out of this. I see, it's hard to name specifics, but I see things that seem more positive in some ways. People, people get torqued up every now and then, mad about just tired of dealing with stuff.
Right.
So there's tempers flaring and stuff, even in the midst of what I feel like is a general, we're all in this together a little bit. I get upset when I feel like I'm invincible and doesn't really. I think things are a great opportunity for a lot of change in a positive way.
Yeah.
You and I spoke a little bit about George Floyd and stuff, and some of the things that means. I'm very guilty of being the guy going, well, no, I have several black friends. I get along with them great. I don't think they perceive me as something evil, and but it's really forced me to realize, there's sins of omission and sins of commission. I'm not running anybody down, that type of thing, but I realize I've been sitting on the sideline too, and that makes me very guilty. I've yet to figure out or target or focus in on what I can do proactively. Mm-hmm. But that is my intent, very much so. Very heartfelt.
How'd you come to that realization?
I caught some little news blib or something like that caught my eye and just made me pause and start thinking about that I am incredibly guilty of not letting my voice be heard. Because if someone asked me, I'm very proactive about race relations and things like that. Took me a while to fathom my white privilege. I've got a list of books. Haven't bought one of them yet, but I'm a reader and I will. There's a couple of books by black authors that I think will be I hope will be very good at opening my eyes.
Eye-opening, yeah.
And that an opportunity will come out of that for me as much as anyone else will tolerate my presence. It's like, enough with the white people trying to help out, Yeah. But I don't want to continue to be part of the silent, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
When in reality, I've done a lot wrong. Even trying to understand, I grew up white, so the police are my friends.
Yeah.
Those are people that I go to when I have a problem.
Yeah.
And I really think I'm beginning, at least get an inkling, an idea of why the black race has an issue with police.
Yeah.
Because that's not their friend. They've been subjected to a lot of bad things. What happened to George Floyd was just one more drop in the bucket, but hopefully it will be a catalyst for incredible change. I don't want to see people all in an uproar for a period and then totally back to status quo.
Yeah.
Something has to be born in this that gets nurtured and grown, and that's where I'm trying to figure out, how do I participate in or support, or what's my role in this, and then embracing that role versus, oh no, that's too much, to actually see an opportunity and then go do it versus, that's more than I want to sign up for.
What's the AA thing? The first step to
I wouldn't
getting help.
Maybe I should find out.
Maybe I just outed myself a little bit.
Maybe I should find out, but I haven't been down that road yet.
No, the first step to helping yourself is admitting you have a problem, basically. It's that idea that crap, okay, I should have been doing more. I should have been paying better attention. I should have been having conversations, and now it's, okay, I'm ready to do that. That's awesome.
And I keep reading and I understand, don't ask your black friends to explain it to you. Yeah. I'm starting to understand that too. Yeah. I've got a head on my shoulders. There's plenty of things that are in writing that I can look at. There's plenty of history books that I can look back at and see, oh my gosh, look what we've been doing for so long. Yeah. And we'll continue to do until something changes. Yeah. I see the anger. Yeah. I understand the anger as well as I can. I think there's a lot more understanding to be had.
Yeah.
I don't want to soft pedal this at all. It's just I don't want to. I want to be able to follow through on my desire to do something that matters, and not to make me feel good, but to actually, be a difference.
Yeah. Solve the problem.
Yeah. So, and I think it's going to take generations to solve it or to see the result of it. But we can make some pretty dynamic steps, I think, right now.
Yeah.
And there, I hear that there are little islands here and there of things that are working the right way and stuff like that. I'm sure they're incredibly few and far between.
Yeah.
But to discover those things, I went. Some website I get in the mornings that talks about this type of stuff, talked about this equality, injustice. I'm so bad at stuff like this, but apparently this organization has done a lot towards helping people that have gone to prison.
Okay.
Because here's a guy, you look guilty, good enough, we can put a check in that box and stick you in prison. They've done a really good job of going back. That was one of the things that really struck me as something to either support or figure out how I can participate with. Because of my background doing things with youth, as much as any kid of color wants to listen to Tall White Bread, I need to make myself available for that again, because I used to be quite good at hanging out with kids and stuff like that. And if that opportunity is there, or if I can be effective there, then I need to find that. I had the benefit of growing up in a really solid family, and I know a lot of kids do as well, and a lot of kids don't. To identify that, that's always been a passion of mine, is strengthening families.
Yeah.
I'd have a lot to learn about how to go about that in some different environments than I grew up in, but I think some of the skill set I have is still there for that purpose. So,
all right. How have you, what did you see in Denver? Because I know you guys had some looting and violence.
I watched very peaceful protests during the day that I thought, from what I could see, I'm just on the news. I didn't go down and participate. I have a daughter that did.
Okay.
But I watched those folks and I thought, this is brilliant. They're doing such a fine job. They're displaying their angst. Yeah, it's basically, if you have a message, you can have the best message in the world, but if you give it to deaf ears, that nobody's ever going to hear it. So you have to figure out, this is the message I have. How do I get it heard? Yeah. And I thought that they did a good job of that. I think the more writing type stuff that happened in the evenings, later evenings, I honestly, and I don't know, I didn't participate, just my bias or whatever, I looked at that and said, that's a bunch of white boys walking around going, what are we mad about again? Throw a rock through that. What are we supposed to be upset about? I'm sure that is not fully accurate. It's just that was the feeling I had about it, and that's, I'm ignorant, of a lot of what happened there and stuff, but that was just like, to see the daytime thing where the guys are, this is what we're here for. This is why. When we're done, go home.
Yeah.
Don't stay down here and do this, And it seemed like a lot of it were non-black participants. And sometimes I felt like some of the people that were doing this, like, I want to show my allegiance to the black by kicking the cops in the shins because they're not going to shoot me. Well, they'll shoot you too.
Yeah.
But I don't know that helped very much, some of the late night protest stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think at one point our Denver police force drew a line in the sand. I can't remember what the specific of it right now, but they said, if you don't do such and such, you're going home, curfew at 9 or whatever the curfew was. People stayed out. Well, nobody got, very few people got arrested. It's like they drew a line in the sand and then they didn't hold it up. It's like parenting. If you say you touch that one more time, I'm going to have to slap your hand. Well, you better be ready to slap their hand because they're going to touch it one more time,
I think a lot
I grew up getting spanked, so that was okay to get spanked when I was a kid.
And in Texas,
yeah, in Texas,
Texas,
and I earned every spanking I got.
A while ago, yeah. It was a different time.
Yeah, it was a whole different world. My wife would be rolling over right now because she's a school teacher, and she's like, "I can't believe you said that. And we don't do that."
Can we edit that part out?
yeah. Don't. I hope this doesn't have a big readership.
Yeah. Well, luckily, not that many people watch this, Bob, so you don't have to worry. Would you have done anything differently if you knew coronavirus is coming or any of the George Floyd stuff, or would you?
I in my mind the George Floyd stuff said I'd run up there and stop it from happening, but no, I wouldn't have.
No.
But the unfortunately, I don't believe anything I read on the news.
Yeah.
Either side, whether it's CNN, Fox, whatever, I don't believe either side.
Yeah.
Everyone just spins to support their ideals.
Yeah.
And there's truth in both sides, but I think there's a lot of crap.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is anymore. So used to, I had some places I could go to that I thought would be truthful, unbiased, and that's very hard to find. So it looks like Mr. Floyd, he may not have been a saint. I don't know. Yeah. But irregardless, that doesn't matter. Yeah. That doesn't mean anything. Yeah. The gentleman that use that term loosely. Yeah. That was on his neck. Had no business being there, and somebody should have been pulling him off. There's no excuse. I think had I been one of the police officers there, I cannot imagine myself allowing that to happen.
I can't imagine how that happened at all.
I mean, you can get caught up in the moment of something. I got that, but at some point, sanity comes back. Yeah. You catch your breath and go, wait a minute, this is wrong. We need to fix this. Regarding COVID, I don't know what I would have done with COVID any differently. To me, it just kind of came, well, it's just another strain of flu coming.
Yeah. Save more money.
Yeah.
You already said that. Well, yeah. I think all of us are kind of like,
yeah. I changed jobs about 3 days before it really got bad.
Oh, really?
And before the oil price totally tanked, the guy that hired me called me a week later and said, hey, just so you know, you've still got a job. Because probably if it had been a week later, I'd been interviewing that position, he'd say, we're going to have to hold.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that would have been a prudent decision on his part.
What's your well, I guess since you just started there, what's the volume been like compared to normal?
Oh, well, this company is a little bit diversified because they're in some other industries a little bit besides oil and gas. And, of course, those industries are less affected by oil price, but they're equally affected by the COVID thing. Okay. There's still a downturn of activity and stuff like that. But they do have some things in place that are probably helps them be in a less of a bad situation, though they're bailing water out of the boat just like everybody else is. So I think I just feel real fortunate to have a position. I know some really, really quality folks that for no other reason than the situation, they're on the street looking for something. There's nothing to be had. Nobody's hiring, not in the industry anyway. Most of them are having to look outside the industry. There's still things going on out there. There's still things to do, but
you know what I forgot to cover is, can you explain the negative oil price?
Oh.
In layman's terms? Or?
It'll be simple terms because I'm pretty simple. People, the oil market sells on futures. Right. So you're buying, $35 oil in May for whatever period out to July is when it's got to deliver. Okay. So all these guys have bought oil at a price, $35, and they have to take delivery. They have to receive that oil
at that cost.
Even as generally speaking, when the market's going great and stuff, it's more of a paper transaction than it is actual oil. Physical oil. But and God, somebody's going to listen to me and go, that's an economist or even has this much more sense than me, because that guy doesn't know anything he's talking about. But basically,
so Google
these guys are delivering oil.
Yeah.
And you have to receive it.
Okay.
And there's no place to go with it. There's no refinery. There's no storage. There's no nothing you can do with it.
So that's how it went negative.
So the guy that's delivering the oil is saying, okay, for every day you don't take delivery, it's going to cost you $20 a barrel or whatever, until you finally find somebody that you're paying 37 negative, oil goes to negative 37, you're paying somebody $37 a barrel to take your oil. Please take my oil. I heard stories of guys in West Texas and elsewhere, and I don't know if it's accurate or people are just talking about it, but frac tanks are used for a frac. When you frac a well, you have these big tanks that you haul out there. Well, they're sitting idle right now. They're not doing anything. Guys were trying to rent those to fill with oil. Said, yeah, I'll fill one of those things. I'll get paid $37 a barrel to put it in there, and oil will come back to 22 or something. I'll make $65 a barrel. I'm good.
Interesting.
I don't know how much, if
you
any
think
of that got accomplished.
Happened? Okay.
I don't know. I'm sure somebody made that work.
Yeah.
Just, guys are pretty quick on the I'm slow.
Okay.
We were talking the other day. I said, back in high school or something, somebody cut you down. My quick comeback was, oh yeah.
I'll get back to you in 3 days with that one.
I'll have a response for you in a couple of days. Give me a minute. It's going to be a good one too.
Yeah, it takes a while for these wheels to all turn.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, that makes sense of the negative price then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's accurate at all.
Well, no, but
that's
if it's a future,
that's my loose understanding.
Yeah. No,
at some point you have to take delivery.
Right.
Well, if it's just going into it's just going into a refinery or it's going into a storage tank someplace, you don't really have to take delivery. The system's running. If all of a sudden you're supposed to fill that tank, well, that tank has been overflowing for the last 6 weeks.
Right.
Not physically overflowing for all the EPA people out there. There's no place to stick it, and we're delivering it or we're charging you. You know, we're supposed to deliver on this date, and you're not receiving it, so it's going to cost you money for us to hold it. You think a tanker on the sea, he comes across the water expecting to deliver on a certain date. Right. He's figured all his costs based on that.
Right.
He's not able to deliver. He's not able to get his next job doing something else. So, and a tanker's not cheap.
Yep.
So they start, ka-ching, numbers start going up.
Interesting. Well, that's a deep subject. Anything else you want to add? Any other ideas you have?
No, not really. I mean, I can go on a rabbit trail that nobody wants to hear.
Okay.
But I think we're heading into a significant time of change. I hope so.
I hope so too.
I hope there hasn't been a good opportunity for a president. Congress and Senate, they would rather be at odds than do something. And they both point the finger at the other one, and they're both right. It's capitalism. I feel like is semi-broken. Yeah. I think there's a new capitalism that could occur. I don't even know what that is, but instead of trying to figure out how you can be top dog and make sure you're stepping all over the top of everybody, go as high as you can and take as many people with you as you can. Yeah. I think that's a lot saner capitalism. Yeah. Not
like a community-based capitalism.
Yeah, socialistic capitalism. Communal.
Non-greed. Non-greed-based. Socialism.
Non-greed-based. What a concept. I mean,
no obsession with constant growth.
I'm not much of a philosopher either, and I'm not
so not an economist, not a philosopher.
Yeah. I'm the jack of all trades, master of absolutely none of them. But
I can relate to that.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for change, and it's sorely needed. Yeah, I'm proud of what America was. I've heard the whole "Make America Great Again" and the counter to that, "When were we great?" kind of thing. I think there was a time when, elements that aren't great now were great at one time. Yeah. We've had social issues that have never been great. Yeah. So, and you can't separate them. Yeah. But the idea of us policing the world is a horrible idea. Yeah. And at the same time, I just love to see us do a humanitarian something around the world where we didn't benefit somehow.
Yeah.
Let's go take care of Afghanistan because, there's some really good minerals over there that we want to make sure we get someday.
Yep.
Or, to go in and stop genocide someplace, and not because if we can control this, then we can have this, this, and this, We, used to be, I grew up in the time where the Russians were evil and all that. We're no better or worse than them, I think. Well, maybe we're worse. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know their culture well enough. I mean, I certainly don't want to give up a lot of what we have here. I think we have significant freedoms here in general, as a general statement, that don't exist elsewhere. But this isn't utopia by any means.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
No, there's still work to do.
I don't know what hole I'm digging myself into right now either.
I liked it. Yeah. I liked where you were going.
I want to see a change.
It's the idea for better, to work towards better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's better according to me. Like my opinion's ain't better than anybody else's.
What's the opinions are like? Assholes? We all got them and they all stink.
Yeah. Well, I keep mine pretty fresh.
I shower every day. On that note.
Boy, we ended well, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. That was strong. All right. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate your time.
You bet, man.
Yeah. Chicken Man on the Run, episode 14. Adios. See, that was easy.